The campaign finance system, I think, is our number one problem in this country right now, because I think it impacts everything else. I think there are very few issues that are not impacted by money in politics. And what that means is that those with the most money basically have their views heard the most.
The tiniest fraction of the 1% are funding campaigns. You know, candidates for Congress and members of Congress spend anywhere between 30 and 70% of their time raising money to fund their campaign. And just like, you know, rats in a maze, like you train them. You teach them how to behave as they raise their money, and the way they behave is to make sure that the people who fund their campaigns are happy while the rest of Americans take second place.
And so a very small group of people are basically funding these campaigns. How does that affect inequality? Well, right there you have a basic inequality in democracy. So once these people get into office, who are they going to respond to? They're not going to respond to the $200 contributor, the $50 contributor, the $25 contributor. They're going to respond to the $1 million contributor. The major concern for democracy is that the people who are making these contributions have certain points of view. They have certain interests. And to go out and collect that type of money, hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars from, let's say, Wall Street or the oil industry, these are the people you're going to be listening to just because you're around them a lot. These are the people who are the fundraisers.
Right now, the biggest way that the corrupted power of money infiltrates elections, and thus political decisions, is through the use of political action committees. These super PACs, as they've come to be known, give special interest groups the ability to put their money in the direction of things that they want. Basically, what this allows for is legal bribery, giving lobbyists even more power, through providing them with nearly unlimited amounts of dough to throw around.
I have a very practical view of lobbying. I actually think lobbying is an honorable profession. It's in the Constitution, which is right to petition your government. And I also think hiring a lobbyist is not necessarily a terrible thing because, like most things in life, things are complicated, and hiring somebody to represent you is not necessarily a terrible thing. I think the problem comes from the tools that lobbyists use and also how much good lobbyists cost. But mainly, take the very basic lobbying. I go in because I'm concerned about something in my local community, and I go in, I want to talk to my state representative or my council member. That's my right. It's the right of Exxon to go in and to petition and say it wants whatever. I think it has a right to do that. So it's not the lobbying in itself that I think is the problem. It's the tools that the lobbyists are allowed to use that's the problem. It's the ability to use your money to persuade as opposed to your argument to persuade. The problem we have in this country is that we have a government that is very narrowly focused right now on who it listens to. So lobbying in and of itself, I was a registered lobbyist for a while. Lobbying in and of itself is not a bad thing. It's when a lobbyist succeed not because of the merits of their argument, but because of the amount of money they wield. And that's inequality. The people with the most money, the industries, the financial industry, the oil industry, whatever industry, with the most money is going to look out for its own interests, which is natural. And that is then just going to perpetuate the cycle of inequality.